morning, Bimblers, and you join me here at Preston Station for episode 2.5 of our Trans-Pennine Bimbles, National Cycle Route 62. So why is it episode 2.5? Well, that's because it's the first of our detours off National Cycle Route 62 to see what we see. So the first thing we've got to do is get from Preston Station to Croston Station along the Ormskirk branch line. And we're going to be following the Ormskirk branch line all the way to Ormskirk. It's something I like to call a rimble. It's part Bimble, half train journey. We're going to be on and off trains, depending on the terrain and depending on whether trains turn up. It might be a full bicycle Bimble,
for your own safety,
but then again it might be a full railway Bimble.
the yellow line.
We just don't know. So we should stop messing about and rimble. Let's rimble. This is Croston, and its name comes from a very obvious place, the words cross and town. The cross in Croston isn't the original cross. The original one was destroyed by Oliver Cromwell when he was having his naughty times and he was destroying anything to do with the church. But the original cross was put here by Saint Aidan or Bishop Aidan, and he was the right hand man of Saint Oswald or King Oswald. We spoke about both of those in the past in my St Oswald video. Bishop Aidan used to accompany King Oswald around Lancashire as he spread the word of Christianity. He'd come to the area and found that there were several different towns which all didn't have churches, and they didn't have a centralised place where they could come and worship. So Bishop Aidan built a big wooden cross, hence making the town Croston. And all the people from all the surrounding areas would come here to his services on Sundays. This all happened a few years after St Oswald had died, possibly on Winwick Road, but probably not. The church I'm sat in front of came much later, in the 11th century, around the reign of William the Conqueror, or William the Bastard, as he was also known. And it's called St Michael's and All Angels Church. But it's one of several old things that's in Croston. They also have a 17th century cobbled packhorse bridge, known as Town Bridge. That was built in 1682, and it's Grade 2 listed, and it crosses over the River Yarrow. The River Yarrow starts its life on the windy moors of Chorley, and winds its way through Lancashire, where it ends here in Croston. And before it ends, the River Lostock flows into it, which also starts on the windy moors of Chorley, but goes a completely different way and goes through Leyland. And it flows into the Yarrow, which in turn then flows into the River Douglas. And it's at that point where the Douglas and the Yarrow meet, where National Cycle Route 91 and National Cycle Route 62 meet. So I think we should have a bimble to where we stopped the last in the series of National Cycle Route 62. solemn, and I solemnly swear that there will be an episode 3. Let's bimble.
Things to show me, but life just keeps turning back to the way things were before. All knew this time you would still see all that became attached from the way things were before. It just proves to me how it's meant to feel. We have motive, we have the time. We were meant to lead extraordinary lives. It changed with time. You still know me. We just keep facing back to the way things were before.
Well, Bimblers, this is solemn. That down there is National Cycle Route 62. In episode 3, that'll be the way we're going. But this is episode 2.5. So we're going down this horrible main road. Let's bimble.
It should plainly show what we're meant to know. We have a motive, we have the time. We were meant to lead extraordinary lives. Edged over lines, days keep moving, but time just keeps falling back to the way things were before. Just proves to me how it's meant to feel. We have a motive.
And so we reach Rufford, or Rufford Old Hall if you want to be exact. The name Rufford comes from 2 words again, 2 very obvious words, rough and ford, meaning there was a rough ford over the River Douglas. The River Douglas flows through here from where it begins on the top of Winter Hill. That's the one with the big TV aerial. We spoke about all that in the last episode. And it's here in Rufford that the River Douglas flows alongside a branch of the Leeds-Liverpool Canal, known as the Rufford branch. And eventually they both flow together and go into the River Ribble. It makes up part of what's called the Ribble Link, which we spoke about in the last episode. Rufford Hall, or Rufford Old Hall as it's known now, was the home of the Hesketh family. For over 500 years the Hesketh family lived here. You will have heard me mention the Hesketh family before, in particular one Sir Peter Hesketh Fleetwood, the man that invented Fleetwood and named it after his mother's side of the family, the Fleetwood side. Before him, Fleetwood didn't exist. Therefore my favourite chip shop would never have existed without him. So he's sort of my hero. Rufford Old Hall's biggest claim to fame is that they believe that William Shakespeare stayed here in 1585 for 1 month. He was touring around performing in different places, acting and learning how to be an actor. And the evidence for him staying here comes from a letter from one of his teachers saying, "William Shakeshaft, now dwellings with me." Not conclusive proof if you ask me, but good enough for the National Trust and good enough for a day out. A real Bimbleism fact is that Rufford Old Hall is actually only 2 metres above sea level, and that makes it the lowest National Trust property in the UK. That's a Bimbleism fact for you.
Edged over lines, days keep moving, but time just keeps falling back to the way things were before. It just proves to me how it's meant to feel. We have a motive, we have the time. We were meant to lead extraordinary lives. It just proves to me how it's meant to feel. We have a motive, we have the time. We were meant to lead extraordinary lives.
And so we reached Burscough, and I've just had a bit of an epiphany. Rather than going down that horrible main road, I could have just gone down this lovely canal, couldn't I? That probably would have made a better video, wouldn't it? Oh well, it's done now. It's all part of the Bimble adventure. Burscough got its name from the Vikings, and Burscough apparently means wooded fort or fort in the woods. It's where the Rufford branch actually branches off the Leeds-Liverpool canal and forms its own branch over to the River Ribble. And that brought a lot of industry to Burscough, including this mill behind me, the Ormskirk mill. It's a 6-storey mill, now made into flats. That was a steam-powered corn mill and was opened in 1855. Burscough's other factory was a milk float factory, the Victor Electrics factory. But with the Leeds-Liverpool running through it, during canal times it was famous for vets and farriers and everything to do with looking after horses. Obviously the horses were needed to drag the barges up and down the canal. It also features 2 train stations, Burscough Bridge and Burscough Junction. They're having all kinds of Jubilee celebrations in the centre of Burscough today. There's all bunting up and there's a load of classic cars. And I'd love to stop and have a good butcher's around. But I want to take us to what would have been England's biggest lake. Let's Bimble.
To me you were the sun itself. To me you were a warming hand that melts to the bone. The flowers grown from my heart. To you I was a drifting line, drawn between a light to capture, but only shown in pictures sewn from my arms. Over time, clouds kept the light from those eyes. Still, love grown consumed, and you know I'll never let it go. You'll find in time, I'll never let it go. You'll find it's right, I'll only ever know how to speak my mind.
This is Martin Mere. Not to be mistaken for Martin Mere, which we've bimbled to in the past. That's over in Blackpool. And if Martin Mere over in Blackpool and Haweswater in Silverdale are the only 2 natural lakes in Lancashire, this would have been the 3rd if it wasn't for us pesky humans. Martin Mere, where we are today, was actually England's biggest body of fresh water. It was vast, it stretched all the way from Rufford to Southport, and in the Christopher Saxton maps of 1549 it was drawn to have 3 islands in the middle. That's how big it was. But just like Martin Mere over in Blackpool, the soil that it took up was far too fertile and valuable for farming, and it was gradually drained year upon year up until the 1800s when it was drained completely, and all that's left of it of these wetlands that we have today. Up until 1975 it was privately owned, and then it was anonymously donated with the help of a man called Ronnie Barker, not the one off the telly, just another man called Ronnie Barker. And it was donated to a Sir Peter Scott. You may recognise the name Scott, as his dad was Scott of the Antarctic. And in fact, Scott of the Antarctic wrote in his dying letter, as he froze to death, "Make the boy interested in natural history." That was a letter to his wife. And he certainly was interested in natural history. Sir Peter Scott was actually the person who drew the panda for the WWF logo. That's the World Wildlife Foundation, not the World Wrestling Federation. He opened several wildlife parks, and he was actually one of the first people to have nature documentaries on the BBC. And if that wasn't enough, he competed in the 1936 Olympics, the Berlin Games, and he won a bronze medal, so he may well have met Hitler. And in 1962, he started the Loch Ness Phenomena Investigation Bureau. So he was clearly mental.
My mind, to me it was a long mistake. To me it was a golden handshake to reapply those lazy arms in my heart. To you it was a dream it mended. To you it was a dream suspended to relocate right from the break to the start. Over time, clouds kept the light from those eyes. Still, love grown consumed, and you know I'll never let it go. You'll find in time, I'll never let it go. You'll find it's right. I'll only ever know how to speak my mind. I'll only ever know how to speak my mind.
Well, Bimblers, the final leg of the journey will be Rimbled. We're going to catch the train. I've been a bit fascinated by the Ormskirk branch line. I used to stay somewhere in Leyland, and I would get the train to Leyland, then cycle 2 miles to where I was staying, and in the morning I'd be lay in bed and I would hear trains going past, and I would think, that can't be Leyland station, because that's like 2 miles away. And it kept happening until I decided I was going to go on Open Street Maps and have a look what was going on. And there it was, the Ormskirk branch line. This odd little line that goes from Preston to Ormskirk on a single track. And that's why I did all the research for this video, finding all the stuff out about Croston and Rufford and Burscough. Plus I get to go to Ormskirk. I've never been to Ormskirk before. Don't know anything about it. I hope they've got a Wetherspoons. I'm starving.
Over time, clouds kept the light from those eyes. Still, love grown consumed, and you know
Well, Bimblers, we reach Ormskirk, and I now know 3 things about Ormskirk. I know where it gets its name from. It's all Old Norse. It's Orm, meaning worm, lizard or snake, same as the Great Orm in Llandudno. And Kirk, meaning church, same as Kirkham, near Blackpool. So in Old Norse, Ormskirk is Lizard Church or Dragon Church. Second thing I know about Ormskirk is it has a Wetherspoons. Just had a beer and a burger. It was much needed. And the third thing I know about Ormskirk is that I have at least 2 fans. I was just spotted outside the train station. If you're watching, thanks for the love. It's literally made my day. I think we'll have to come back to Ormskirk. Being that I have fans here, it warrants its own Bimble. But for today, I think it's adios. Sayonara. Happy Bimbling.